Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint Germain family. In today's video, we'll be having our earliest possible thoughts on the upcoming Champions League final between Paris Saint Germain and Inter Milan. Firstly, let's look at how they went through, the stages, even the group stage. Inter Milan, if I believe, finishing fourth spot in the Champions League group stages, faced PSV alongside the way, Bayern München, FC Barcelona, and obviously didn't have to play a round of 16. Whereas Paris Saint Germain, we obviously came, 15th in the Champions League group stage. We struggled a bit. Then obviously faced Brest in the round of 32, faced Liverpool, Villa, and then obviously Arsenal in the semi-final. So Inter have had easier draw. I think the toughest team they faced in the group stage was Arsenal. Apart from that, didn't Leverkusen as well. But yeah, both of these teams, I think, deserve to be in the semifinal. They've beaten their opponents. There hasn't been, a big question mark over any of them going through into this Champions League final. And then looking at the semifinal legs, Inter Milan, very, very, very tough, mouth-watering tie versus FC Barcelona. But they managed to come out with the dub, scoring 7 goals to 6 goals. Paris Saint Germain, on the other hand, it wasn't a goal thriller. It was a controlled double victory from Paris Saint Germain, beating Arsenal both at the Emirates and at the Parc des Princes, solidifying their spot in this Champions League final. We've obviously not faced Inter since QSI came in. I don't have a single memory of us facing them in the Champions League. We obviously played in the preseason. Could potentially be Luis Enrique's first game as PSG manager. Obviously in the preseason, I think we lost to Inter 3-2. But we actually had a really great performance. I remember Warren cooking that game. Vitinha scored a golazo. Noah Lamina, if people remember him, was cooking a bit in that game as well. But yeah, here we are. Champions League final. Inter Milan, obviously, last time they were in the final was in the 2022 season, facing City in the final. And Paris Saint Germain all the way back in 2020. So these are two teams that have recently been in the Champions League final. These are two teams that have recently been in the Champions League final and lost. Looking at the PSG squad, it's only Marquinhos. Kimpembe, but he's not part of the collective squad. Marquinhos is the only one that was there for the 2020 final. From Inter Milan, it's basically the entire team. Obviously, Sommer replaced for Onana. Bastoni was there. Acerbi could have possibly been there. De Vrij was there. The defense, obviously, Dumfries. I believe Dumfries was there. DiMarco was there. Thuram was not there. Lautaro was there. And I think the midfield 3 was there. So Inzaghi was obviously there. So Inter Milan, it's basically a round 2 for them. It's basically a round 2 for them in the UEFA Champions League right here. Obviously, last season, they did get knocked out by Atletico Madrid by a penalty shootout. And, both legs were really tight between the two clubs. Inter probably should have killed off Atletico better at home. Whilst Paris Saint Germain, as said, this is a brand new squad. They were obviously in the Champions League semi-final last season. So when they came into the semi-final, they knew the stage. They knew what they did right and wrong last year. And they perfected it this year versus Arsenal. So it's two different teams. Looking at the manager, Inzaghi obviously has won, I think, every possible trophy with Inter Milan apart from the UEFA Champions League, whilst Luis Enrique has also won every single trophy for Paris Saint Germain apart from the UEFA Champions League. Both teams will obviously be competing for the first time in the Club World Cup in the summer as well. But at the moment, both of them are desperate for its Champions League. Paris Saint-Germain have obviously won all the trophies this season, the league title, the Super Cup, the Cup, and now going into the Champions League final. Inter Milan, on the other hand, lost in the Coppa Italia, lost in the Supercoppa d'Italia, and are 3 points behind Napoli in the league. And I see it very difficult overtaking Napoli in the league because they have only focused on the league this entire season in Napoli SC. But going more into this game, I think Inter Milan showed great offensive stuff, but also bad defensive stuff. Conceding 6 goals across both legs, conceding 3 goals, I think, across both legs versus Bayern. It doesn't scream defensive powerhouse and just shows. Both Bayern and Barca are two very good offensive teams, same as PSG. But the difference between Inter versus Bayern, Inter Barca, and Inter PSG, hopefully, is the outscoring thing. FC Barcelona is a team that wants to outscore you. Bayern München is somewhat of a team that wants to outscore you. And Paris Saint Germain is definitely a team that wants to outscore you. what have Inter Milan done to those two previous teams? They outscore them. They've outscored the so-called defensive five at the back. Inter Milan is outscoring FC Bayern München and FC Barcelona across both legs. So for me, that's the biggest surprising thing with this Inter Milan side. It's how great they are offensively, potentially even better than they are defensively, even though they defend really well. Like they defended really well versus Barca and Bayern for long periods of the game, and surviving. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh my God, but Sommer made so many saves." Yeah, but that happens always in the big games in the Champions League. How many times have we seen Madrid fugazi a bunch of UCS because Courtois is saving them every game? I mean, that's just part of the Champions League. If you want to go, you have to survive. You have to bleed. And that's what both this Inter Milan side and this Paris Saint Germain side have shown that they're good at. Like, from the Barca and the Bayern game I've watched versus Inter, the other teams have a lot of the ball, have a lot of dangerous chances, but it's great clearances, great interceptions, great goalkeeping from both goalkeepers that have kept Inter and Paris Saint Germain going into this Champions League final. So defensively, Paris Saint Germain has surprised people how great we are defensively, and Inter Milan has surprised people how great they are offensively. Then it comes down to who's better, Paris Saint Germain offensively or Inter Milan defensively. And I think that's where the game will be decided. We will not be playing with a demonic high line and a crazy offside trap, because Inter Milan against Barca, 4 big chances in that second leg, 4 goals scored. And in the first game, it was 2 corner kicks and then, catching Barca off guard in the beginning. I don't see that happening against this Paris Saint Germain side, because we are a fully concentrated side. The 3 goals that were scored in the first game is not going to happen. Obviously, we're not the best at set pieces. I'm not going to deny that. But we're going to be concentrated, which Barca weren't. Conceding that first preliminary goal is not going to happen against PSG either. And the second time, so many of the opportunities Inter got is because of Barca's absolutely insane high line and insane offside trap. That's, again, something Paris Saint-Germain are not going to be doing. If we're up 3-2 versus Inter Milan with 2 minutes to go, we're going to park the bus. All right, we're not going to give you Inter Milan a 4v4. So, small message to Inter Milan fans: Paris Saint-Germain, completely different side than Paris Saint-Germain. Much more mature, much better defensively. I would give Barca the edge offensively, how they can just keep on go. But obviously leave themselves vulnerable at the back as well. So I think this will be more of a controlled game between the two teams. I think it will be less goals than the Barca-Inter tie, even potentially the Inter-Bayern tie. I think it will be very mature performance. Obviously, it's a Champions League final. That's why I hate these. But yeah, that's why Champions League finals is different. If we were going into a 2-legged tie in the semis versus Inter, I would feel way more confident that we were going to beat Inter Milan and go through into the Champions League final. But when it's one game, 90 minutes, heavy pressure, it probably would be a little bit less pressure on the Inter Milan players because they've already been here. The PSG players have not been here. Marquinhos has been in the Champions League final. That's it. Hakimi was on the bench for Madrid in the Champions League final as well. And then Luis Enrique, he will be key for Paris Saint-Germain. He is the one that has Champions League experience. He's been in this final before and he's won it with FC Barcelona in 2015. So Luis Enrique will be absolutely key for Paris Saint-Germain in terms of experience, instead of building that homogeny that where the players can just feel, yes, we can do this. We just got to keep calm, concentrated, not make any mistakes, because this is a 50-50 final. These are 2 teams that deserve to be in this final, 2 of the best, if not the best teams in the world. I mean, Inter beat Barca, so we got to give it to Inter. They deserve that prop. They play better than Barca accumulatively across both legs, defended better than Barca, and attacked better than Barca, in my opinion. A lot of it has to do with Barca being completely open and vulnerable. But yeah, this will be a tough side. This will be a tough final. Obviously, I'm backing my team, Paris Saint-Germain, to lift its first Champions League trophy. City lost their first, won their second. Chelsea lost their first, won their second. Paris Saint-Germain lost their first, hopefully winning their second. And obviously at the Allianz Arena, there have been 4 different Champions League winners when the final has been played there. And every single time it's been a new team. So even the script is back in Paris Saint-Germain. But obviously for the 90 minutes in the Bayern München Arena, Paris Saint-Germain players have to be fully concentrated and eager, excited to get this dub. But yeah, there's such a long time left. There will obviously be coming some some content, the more we're getting closer to that Champions League final. But at the moment, I would like all the PSG supporters, all the PSG players, Nasser, Campos, Lucho, just take not a small vacation, but just vibe out. Enjoy qualifying into the Champions League final. Let's see what we do versus Montpellier and Auxerre in the league. Then we have a cheeky Coupe de France final right ahead of Inter Milan, playing against Stade de Reims, who, stylistically are a bit defensive, conservative. So it's a good preparation for that Inter Milan Champions League final. And then we'll go into it and, may the best team win, but we need this dub, man. We need this dub. Last year, we reached the semi. We hurt going out to Dortmund, but looking back at it, last season was a good season. It was a huge improvement from the season onwards and has, propelled us to have the season that we're having this season. So I like the aligning of the project. It's just getting better and better and better and better and better. We got to win. We got to win it. This Inter Milan side, I think, has the highest average age in the UCL this season. These are players that, one more year and they're in Saudi. One more year and they are in Turkey. So they are very desperate to get this Champions League to their name. Obviously, with losing it 2 years ago. This Paris Saint Germain team, on the other hand, is a young, vibrant, eager, exciting team that wants that UCL. Their players, Hakimi, Vitinha, Nuno, extended for that UCL. Khvicha, Duid, Neves, Pacho, Safanov came to this club for that UCL. We have spent close to $1 billion for this Paris Saint Germain, Luis Enrique, Luis Campos project. The moment is going great, but we need to end it with the UCL. Last season, I could say, yes, it's great progression. But this season, I can't say that because the main difference between this season and last season would be that we lost in the final instead of the semi. Everything else is the same because we didn't go unbeaten in the league. Obviously, we won the league more convincingly than we did last season, but still not matter. Obviously, we'll have the Club World Cup after, so if the worst thing happens, that's something we can focus on and try to win. But we haven't come here to be here. We've come here to win here. That should be the objective. That's the aim. And that's it. From your boy PSG. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed this video. And as usual, allez, allez, allez Paris.